Hi guys. Wanted to talk today a little bit about silence and how we experience silence. And I know for many of us, when we start to quieten ourselves and move away from the external into an awareness of what's happening internally, we come across the mental chatter. A lot of the time, the mental chatter is going on kind of like a background story, a commentary about life and what's happening right now. And this mental chatter, it runs almost in circles, like it's programmed. It has its own stories it tells, mostly about us and about the world we live in, and it comments about certain things. It has a lot of opinions, makes a lot of assumptions, etc. And there's some things that are quite important about this mental chatter. One is, of course, the content of what the mental chatter says very much informs our worldview. Because we don't question it, those opinions, beliefs, assumptions, the things it says about the world and about ourselves are what we believe to be true about the world and about ourselves. So paying attention to the content of the mental chatter is quite important because it can allow us a great self-awareness about who we are as the person that we think we are. So that's the first thing, is the content of the mental chatter. But there's something even more significant than that. Now, quite often when people spend time alone and go into silence and the mental chatter starts, they find that they feel worse. They feel worse about themselves and they start to feel negative about things. Why does this happen? A lot of the time, our mental chatter has a negative connotation in terms of the content. It tends to take a pessimistic view of things. Most people find that that's true. But more than that, the mental chatter also has its own tone, like a tone of voice. And the tone of voice that our mental chatter has communicates more to us than the actual content. So there's the content, but there's also the wrapper, how it's wrapped up. For instance, we use tone of voice very effectively all the time without even being aware of it. It's most of our communication that happens in a verbal form, if we remove body language from the equation, is the tone of voice, how things are said. For instance, you could say thank you, and you could say thank you, and they kind of mean very different things. So the tone of voice of our internal mental chatter, when we become aware of that, can be quite insightful. Because if we find that we go into silence, the mental chatter starts, and we start to feel negative, we start to feel worse about things, about ourselves, there's two things happening. One is the content, but secondly, the tone of voice of the mental chatter. And when we start to become more and more aware of the tone of voice of our mental chatter, and we really get into a situation of going deep inside, and we're able to focus our awareness and our attention on the mental chatter, and then go even deeper into the tone of voice that mental chatter takes, we find something very interesting. A lot of that time, you can almost hear the voice of the person who programmed you with that belief and with that assumption. And you can hear your mental chatter in their voice and how it was said to you. And this is how we pick up our programming. When we were young, much younger, especially when we were children, those impressions that we took on became hardwired into our brain, and they keep playing over and over subconsciously to us. And that mental chatter that we were programmed with when we were children, especially if it was negative, keeps us on the negative trail and then becomes very disturbing for us. Now later on in another video, I'll discuss how we can come to terms with that and how we can not overcome, but we can get a distance and a break from the mental chatter, and how we can even start to kind of disbelieve it. But for now, it would be great if you wanted to, the next time you're meditating or spending some time in silence, one, Actually examine this mental chatter. What is it saying about you and reality? Question it a little bit. Is it really true? Is it really, really certain? When it says you are a certain way, you are this and that, for instance, or you'll never be good at something, etc. Is it really true? How does it know? It's working off a program of the past. How does it actually know? So we can start to disbelieve it a little bit. But also, what's the tone of voice of the repeating stories that are going on? If you can get to that, you'll be able to unhook the exact moment you were programmed with that particular belief and be able to undo it. I hope you found this useful. This is Bud from Easy Mind Coaching and Hypnotherapy. If you like my videos, please do subscribe and hit the notification button as well. It might be on this side or that side. I don't know which side it's going to be on. And you'll keep receiving these videos. Thanks very much. I look forward to speaking with you again.